Yeah, it's me. Barack. I know what you're thinking. This has to be fake. Fine. Think that if you want. I've been lied to so much I honestly don't blame you for being skeptical. I lived through a public life where every breath I took was analyzed under a microscope. And yet, the biggest betrayal of my life didn't come from Washington. It came from my own house. From my wife, Michelle. Now, before anyone grabs a pitchfork, hear me out. I've protected her reputation for decades. And maybe I would have taken some of this to the grave. But at a certain point, the truth deserves air. Not for revenge. Not even for closure. But for people like you, stuck in a relationship where something feels off and you don't have the words for it yet. We were supposed to be a team. And for a long time, we were. People saw the polished speeches, the hand-holding, the matching grins on stage. What they didn't see was how cold it got behind closed doors. The sarcasm, the controlling jabs, the subtle way she'd undercut me in front of friends, then claim I was being too sensitive. I used to think I was imagining it. That maybe I just wasn't enough anymore. That maybe it was me who'd changed. I used to think, maybe love just looks different after 20 years. But love doesn't lie. Love doesn't hide burner phones. Love doesn't vanish for conferences that don't exist. The signs were there. I ignored them. And now I'm writing this from a condo in DC with a bottle of scotch that's older than my presidency and half the man I thought I was. You want to know the formula for success? It's not money, not fame, not power. It's knowing when to walk away. I'll get into how I found out, what she said, and how I managed to keep my head from exploding. But for now, I just want to say this. No matter who you are, betrayal hurts the same. I remember it like it was yesterday. We were sitting in our kitchen in Chicago, back before the White House, back before the Secret Service and motorcades. Just us, some takeout sushi, and a quiet Tuesday night. She got a text and tilted her phone away from me. Subtle, not unusual, but you know when your gut just winces at something? That little lurch of, that wasn't right. So I ask, everything okay? She laughs. Big, fake, dismissive laugh. Just Marion, complaining about her neighbors again. Marion is her mother. Here's the kicker. Marion was in the living room, watching Wheel of Fortune. I didn't say anything then. You learn not to fight every battle in a marriage. You pick your spots. I chalked it up to some miscommunication. A glitch. A hiccup in the matrix. But it kept happening. She got protective of her phone. Real defensive. Started locking it, keeping it face down, going into the other room to take calls she claimed were campaign donors or old friends from law school. I trusted her. I wanted to trust her, but every lie was a hairline crack in the windshield. You can ignore it for a while, but one day, that thing's gonna shatter. Then came the work trips. At first, they were totally plausible. Speaking engagements, women's empowerment panels, a quick flight to LA. Thing is, she stopped inviting me to come along. Even when I was free, she'd brush it off. You wouldn't enjoy this one, Barack. It's all boring policy stuff. She forgot who she married. I love boring policy stuff. Still, I gave her space. I told myself, she's just busy. We both are. This is the price of the life we chose. But I knew. The gut doesn't lie, people do. Next time, I'll tell you about the message I wasn't supposed to see, and how it shattered 20 years of carefully constructed trust. So here's how it happened. We were at Martha's Vineyard, staying in this big house with some close friends and political allies. You know, the usual cocktail of retired senators, tech CEOs pretending to be chill in flip-flops, and one or two people who never stopped trying to impress Michelle. We were hosting a brunch the next morning, and she asked me to grab her phone so she could order more wine from some app she liked. It was charging on the nightstand. Innocent, right? I grab it. It lights up, and right there, without me doing anything, a preview banner from a message flashes across the top. Last night was perfect. You look like sin in that dress. He still doesn't suspect a thing, does he? I froze. My hands. Ice cold. My chest. A cement block dropped into my ribcage. My ears. Ringing like a grenade went off beside me. I stared at that message like it would rewrite itself. Like if I blinked fast enough, I could unsee it. But it just sat there, mocking me. Truth, delivered in a neat little font with emojis. She came into the room right as I was still holding the phone. Saw my face. Saw the screen. And she didn't panic. She didn't cry. She didn't even flinch. She smiled. Give me that, she said, snatching the phone like I was the one invading her privacy. You shouldn't go through people's things, Barack. That was her first defense. Not, it's not what it looks like. Not, I can explain. Just, you're wrong for seeing it. You ever have someone lie so calmly, so confidently, that you start to question whether you're crazy? She gaslit me so hard in the next few minutes, I almost convinced myself I was hallucinating. That's a joke from an old friend. God, you're so paranoid lately. You know I hate it when you get like this. When I asked who sent the message, she rolled her eyes. You don't know him. It's just stupid banter. Stupid banter? Like, you looked like Sin in that dress? Is just guys being guys? That night, I didn't sleep. She went to bed early, annoyed at me for ruining a peaceful vacation. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking. I waited 2 days. Not because I was scared. Not because I wanted to let it slide. I just needed to be sure I wasn't about to blow up my life over one message. So I waited. I watched. I paid attention in a way I hadn't in years, and man, when you really look at someone you thought you knew inside and out, the mask starts slipping fast. She was flirty over text, distant in person. She'd laugh too hard at messages but never share what they were about. At dinner, she was glued to her phone, then claimed it was staff logistics. The kicker? She left the table once, mid-bite, to take a quick call from a publisher, and when she came back, her lipstick was smudged. We were at home. No publisher was on the other end of that call. So finally, I sat her down. No cameras, no press, no teleprompters. Just me, her, and the truth sitting between us like a loaded gun. I asked her directly, "Are you cheating on me?" She didn't even hesitate. No. Straight face. Calm voice. Like she was answering a question about the weather. I said, "Don't lie to me, Michelle. I saw the message. I've seen how you act. I deserve the truth." That's when the cracks started to show. Her eyes darted. Her voice lost that first lady fire and turned sharp. Cold. "You're just insecure," she snapped. "You've been struggling with relevance ever since you left office, and now you want to drag me down with you." Then she added, "I didn't do anything. And even if I did, maybe if you paid more attention to me, I wouldn't have to look elsewhere." That was it. That was the first time she admitted it, without admitting it. A non-confession wrapped in a slap across the ego. I remember sitting there, stunned. Not just at the words, but at the tone. Like she was annoyed that I'd inconvenienced her with my heartbreak. Like I was the idiot for expecting faithfulness after decades together. I asked her again. "How long?" She just laughed and said, "Does it matter?" God, that wrecked me. I felt like someone had rewound the last 20 years of my life and scribbled "fake" over every memory in red ink. And the worst part? She walked out of that room with her head high, like she'd won something. After that night, we didn't talk for 3 days. You'd think a confrontation like that would end in slammed doors or suitcases flying down the stairs. But nah, this wasn't a movie. It was worse. It was quiet. You know the kind of silence that settles in after a bomb goes off? That eerie stillness where nothing's technically broken, but you can feel the ground is no longer solid? That was our house. We went about our routines like coworkers who hated each other but needed to finish the shift. Morning coffee, gym, news briefings, public smiles, separate bedrooms. We were still posting anniversary tributes online, still showing up at charity events hand in hand, still smiling in front of photographers like everything was fine. But behind those photos, she was texting him, and I was drinking bourbon in my study at 2 a.m., replaying every moment of our life together and wondering, how the hell did I not see this coming? I went digging. Not something I'm proud of, but I had to know. Email threads, credit card statements, travel logs. She was good, really good, but no one is perfect when they're cocky, especially when they think you're too busy writing memoirs to notice. Turns out the guy was someone we both knew, not just a stranger, a colleague, one of the media guys she met during a Netflix project. Sleazy type, slick haircut, too many teeth, always called me boss, like it was a damn joke. And apparently, they'd been collaborating for a while. It started during the press tours. He'd book the same hotel floors. They'd go over scripts. And every time I'd call her from home, she'd say she was exhausted from meetings. Turns out, the meetings were in hotel beds. I confronted her again, showed her proof, laid it all out. And you know what she said? "You were never home. I got tired of being in your shadow." That line cut deeper than the affair. Because in that moment, I realized. This wasn't just about cheating. This was about resentment. Years of it. Stuff we should have dealt with but didn't. And now it was rotting in the open like a dead animal between us. She didn't apologize. She didn't beg. She blamed. And when I didn't yell back, when I just stared at her, hollowed out, she got bored. Like the conversation was a waste of her time. You ever walk through your own house and feel like a stranger? That's what it became for me. Every room held a memory, and every memory now felt like a lie. The kitchen where we slow danced to Sam Cooke at 2 a.m. The hallway where Malia used to drag a blanket behind her like a superhero cape. The garden we planted together during lockdown, laughing like kids as we ruined our shoes in the mud. All of it now soaked in betrayal. She moved into the guest room, and I stayed in the master. There was no discussion about it. It just happened. Like roommates going through a quiet divorce no one wanted to admit was real yet. We still saw each other at the breakfast table, still exchanged good mornings. She even had the audacity to ask me, "Can you pass the marmalade?" One day like we weren't in the middle of a damn emotional apocalypse. And me? I didn't even yell. I just passed it. Because I was numb. See, the part they don't tell you about betrayal is this. It doesn't always come with fire. Sometimes it's just smoke that chokes you slowly, every day, until you stop recognizing your own reflection in the mirror. I started skipping dinners. Started sleeping in later. I lost weight, not because I tried, but because I'd stare at my plate and forget how to eat. Secret Service noticed. Hell, even Sasha texted me asking if I was okay. I lied. Told her I was just tired. Because how do you tell your daughter the woman she admires more than anyone just torched your soul? The real kicker? Michelle kept going out. Kept smiling for the cameras. Kept doing podcasts, talking about trust and empowerment and healing like she hadn't gutted me like a fish 2 weeks earlier. She even posted a picture of us, me, from behind, blurry, captioned. Still growing, still grateful. Love isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. Thousands of likes. Thousands of comments saying how we were relationship goals. I stared at that post for a long time. Because what do you do when the whole world thinks you're the perfect couple, and you're barely holding yourself together long enough to smile for a picture? Here's the thing about being a public figure. When the house is on fire, you can't scream. You smile for the camera, even while the flames lick your back. People started noticing. Not the affair, not yet, but the distance. The awkward glances. The stiff posture at events. Even a damn handshake between us went viral. What happened to the Obamas? Are they okay? Power couples fight too. Hashtag still rooting for them. I'd get texts from old friends, trying to check in without saying too much. Yo, everything cool? You guys just laying low, right? You two are forever, man. Don't let the noise get to you. And I'd respond with, all good. Just busy. Busy? Yeah. Busy figuring out how the hell my life turned into a PR chess game I never asked to play. Michelle, meanwhile, was thriving. She started doing more solo interviews. Started name-dropping herself without the former First Lady tag. One headline even called her America's Real President. She sent it to our group chat, the family one, with a laughing emoji. I didn't reply. You'd think, after all this, I'd be the one to explode. To leak something. Go on a podcast. Tell my side. But I didn't. Not because I was weak, but because I knew the world wouldn't believe it. They see her as strength, grace, perfection. They see me as the guy who made it out of South Side Chicago, married a queen, and lived the American dream. Nobody wants to hear that the dream is cracked. That behind every filtered photo is a man who sleeps alone in a California king bed wondering how long he'll keep lying to himself. And the worst part? She knew that. She counted on it. She dropped subtle digs in interviews. Talk about emotional neglect. About how some people only learn to love you when you leave. And people lapped it up. Tears. Applause. Articles titled Michelle's Brave Truth. Meanwhile, I was the silent villain in a story I wasn't even allowed to narrate. It was Malia who brought it up first. We were having lunch in D.C., just the two of us. She'd just flown in from L.A., and we were pretending everything was fine, the usual father-daughter check-in over overpriced salads and sparkling water. She kept looking at me the way kids do when they know something's off. Not accusing. Not dramatic. Just concerned. Then she said it. Dad, are you and Mom okay? I froze mid-bite. Not because I was shocked she noticed. Malia's always been the intuitive one. But because I hadn't prepared for that question. Not from her. Not out loud. I chewed slower. Swallowed hard. Then forced out the biggest lie I've ever told my daughter. Yes, sweetie. Just the usual ups and downs. She nodded slowly, like she didn't believe it, but didn't want to push. Then came the dagger. I used to hear you two laugh from down the hallway when I was a kid. It's been a while. I wanted to cry right there in that restaurant. Not because she was wrong, but because she remembered. She remembered the love, the real kind, before it got poisoned. I changed the subject. Asked about work. Her boyfriend. She smiled and played along, but the air was heavier than the food. Later that night, Sasha texted me too. Just a simple, I miss the old you. I stared at my phone for an hour before responding. And when I did, all I could say was, me too. It hit me then. The worst part of this whole mess wasn't the cheating. It wasn't the lies, or the interviews, or the fake posts. It was what it did to them. To our daughters. To the version of us they believed in. Because when you're a parent, your relationship becomes a blueprint. And now, I had no idea what kind of blueprint we were leaving behind. Was it better to fake it until they moved on with their own lives? Or tear it down and show them the truth, even if it shattered everything? I didn't know the answer yet, but I knew one thing for sure. Whatever happened next, it was going to hurt. You ever get hit by a memory that didn't even belong to you? That's what happened the morning I found the shirt. It was a Sunday. Quiet. The kind of silence you only notice when your life's starting to rot from the inside out. I was doing laundry, something I hadn't done much of since, well, the White House days. Michelle usually handled the laundry herself, or had someone do it. But now we were splitting life like a divorced couple who didn't want to admit they were divorced. I wasn't looking for anything, just pulling stuff from the hamper. Then I saw it. A crisp, white button-down. Designer brand. Not mine. I held it up. Still smelled like cologne, some expensive citruswood bullshit. And it wasn't just that I didn't recognize it. It was freshly pressed. Like someone wore it, took it off in my house, and left it like a souvenir. I felt my chest tighten. At first, I told myself it must have been one of the assistants. Maybe someone left it in the guest room. Maybe it was Sasha's boyfriend's. Hell, maybe I forgot buying it. Then I did something stupid. I checked the pocket. And inside, a valet ticket, stamped from the Ritz-Carlton. Last Friday. I hadn't gone anywhere last Friday. She had. I sat down on the edge of the bed with that shirt in my hands and stared at it like it was a confession. Because it was. It was physical proof that someone had been in our space, that he'd been close enough to leave his damn shirt behind, that she hadn't just lied, she'd brought him into our home, the house where we raised our daughters, the house we designed together, the one with our forever home carved on a plaque near the kitchen. I didn't confront her immediately. I just placed the shirt back on top of the folded laundry, right on the edge of the bed, made sure it was visible, like a quiet question, screaming for an answer. She came back from Pilates that afternoon, all sweaty smiles and fake small talk. Saw the shirt. Paused. Then, she had the audacity to say, "Oh, that must be from one of your friends." Like I was the idiot. Like I didn't already know. She said it so casually. Like we were talking about forgetting to replace the toothpaste. "Oh, that must be from one of your friends." I stared at her. Not blinking. Not breathing. Just watching her lie to my face like she'd been practicing in the mirror. "My friends," I said slow and flat. She didn't flinch. "Yeah, I don't know whose it is. Maybe one of your old staffers? They used to leave stuff all the time when you had people over." I nodded, then picked up the shirt and held it between us. "This is not a staffer's shirt," I said. "And we both know it." That's when she shifted. Dropped the innocent act. Voice colder. Eyes hard. "So what, Barack?" she said. "You're going through the laundry now, like some jealous intern? You think I don't see what this is?" "Oh, I see what this is," I said. "I just want to hear you say it." Silence. For a second, I thought maybe, she'd finally tell the truth. Maybe she'd own it. Apologize. Cry. Something human. But nope. She rolled her eyes, walked over to the dresser, and started fiddling with her earrings like we were late for dinner. "You know what your problem is?" she said. "You've spent your whole life being worshipped. By the public, by the party, by everyone. But when someone stops bowing down, you panic." I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because I realized just how far gone she really was. "This isn't about worship," I said. "This is about respect. About our marriage. Our family. Our home." She turned, arms crossed. "You want the truth? Fine." I braced for it. She smiled. That smug, condescending smile I used to think was charming back in law school. "I haven't loved you for years, Barack," she said. "I stayed because it made sense. The brand. The legacy. The girls. But don't act shocked now. You knew." And just like that, the room went quiet. I felt like the floor disappeared. Like my whole identity got wiped out in a single sentence. I hadn't loved you for years. That was the lie that broke me. Not because it wasn't true, but because she believed it was. Because somewhere along the way, I'd stopped being her husband and become a symbol. A paycheck. A campaign. A piece of the furniture. And the saddest part? Maybe she was right. Maybe I didn't know. And I just didn't want to admit it. After that confrontation, I tried everything to keep the house standing. We went to therapy, couples, individual, you name it. But here's the catch. When you're Barack Obama, therapy isn't just about healing. It's a performance. Because every session could leak. Every word could be twisted. So I sat there, behind my strong black man mask, trying to process the chaos. Trying to fix a marriage that was already a ticking time bomb. Michelle was different in therapy. Cooler. Sharper. Like she was playing a game only she knew the rules to. She'd talk about finding herself, breaking free from expectations, and not being a prisoner to my shadow. Meanwhile, I was just trying not to crumble. Outside the sessions, the media circus exploded. Paparazzi swarmed like vultures. Obama marriage in crisis. Michelle's candid confession. Who's the mystery man? None of it helped. Because behind the headlines, the real pain was private and raw. I started questioning everything, my choices, my worth, my identity. Was I just the husband she tolerated? A stepping stone to her own reinvention? The mask I'd worn my entire life suddenly felt suffocating. And no matter how many times I put it back on, it never fit quite the same again. Here's one of those moments you never expect to happen to you. A complete stranger dropping a bombshell you weren't ready for. I was at a fundraiser, trying to keep my cool while Michelle was giving her speech across the room. Someone tapped me on the shoulder, a woman I didn't recognize. "Mr. Obama, can I be honest?" she said, as darting around like she was scared someone might overhear. "Your wife's been, well, she's been seeing someone. Not just a fling. It's serious." I wanted to say, I know, but I just nodded. Because hearing it from a stranger cut deeper than from Michelle herself. The woman continued. "They met last year at a retreat. It started with meetings, but turned into something else. She's been very careful, secret dinners, private flights. You probably wouldn't find out unless someone wanted you to." I thanked her, my hands shaking. Later, I asked Michelle, who denied it all with practiced ease. But that night, lying awake in the dark, I realized the truth wasn't just in words or shirts. It was in the silences, the gaps, the little betrayals that added up to a lifetime of lies. After months of pretending, hiding, and walking on eggshells, I hit my breaking point. It wasn't a dramatic scene, no yelling matches, no slam doors. Just a quiet moment that felt louder than any shouting. One evening, I sat alone in the study, staring at a framed photo of our family from happier times. The smiles looked fake now, like a bad memory trying to pass as reality. That's when it hit me. I was done pretending. Done sacrificing my sanity for appearances. Done letting her lies define my self-worth. I told Michelle I wanted space. Time to think. To heal. Her reaction? She laughed. Not a bitter laugh. More like a release, like she'd been holding her own secret weight for too long. "I knew you'd get here," she said softly. "Maybe this is what we both needed." I packed a bag that night and left. Not because I wanted to give up, but because I had to save myself. Leaving was the hardest and best decision I made. I didn't have a clear plan, just a quiet determination to rebuild my life on my own terms. Friends and family stepped in, offering support, though some were surprised to see me so vulnerable. I started therapy for real, not just as a performance. I faced the anger, the hurt, the betrayal. I cried more than I thought I ever would. Slowly, the fog lifted. I found strength in unexpected places, in early morning runs, late-night talks with old friends, and even in the silence of my empty house. I learned that success isn't about having it all figured out. It's about having the courage to keep moving when everything falls apart. Michelle and I eventually agreed on a separation. No public drama. No court battles. Just two people acknowledging that sometimes love isn't enough. And honestly, that's okay. If you're reading this and going through betrayal, here's what I want you to know. It's not your fault. Pain doesn't last forever, but you have to let yourself feel it. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Sometimes, letting go is the bravest thing you can do. You are more than the lies someone told you. I thought I had the formula for success, but life taught me the real formula is resilience. We fall, we break, but we rise again. Keep rising. If you want, I can help you write the full story compiled or tweak the tone. Just say the word.